What is up, everybody? Welcome into episode number 7 of Bettin N Boozin here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I am your host, Kyle Roscoe, and wow, what an absolutely amazing weekend we had last week with all the horse racing going on, and not to mention, obviously, the big game, the Super Bowl went on, which congratulations to all the Chiefs and all the Chiefs fans and all the Chiefs bettors out there that had them. I was not one of them. You all know that, but Howard and Charlie will give me enough crap for that, and the rest of our panel that was there last Wednesday. But again, thank you to everyone for joining in that show, for watching that show, for kind of our big Super Bowl extravaganza that we put on last weekend. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. But like I said, congratulations to the Chiefs. They played a hell of a game. They showed adversity, even when they were down at the half by a wide margin. They still showed adversity, like I said, and they still came back to win the game. So again, congratulations to them and all their backers. But for now, we're going to go over the late pick 4 at Gulfstream Park, which features a very nice filly and Kathleen O, who we haven't seen in a little while, since last November, as many of you know her from the Oaks Trail and all through Gulfstream Park last year. So we'll get into that really soon. But obviously, we're going to wrap up the Super Bowl. And Charlie's going to talk a little bit about the NBA deadline that is going to come up here, as we think it's a very interesting topic to go through. But again, you all know the drill. We're going to go through it. My email is down below. It's going past right now. It is Bettin N Boozin. Bettin, no G, the letter N, and Boozin at gmail.com. Please send me any emails, whether good or bad. We like constructive criticism around here, so I appreciate it. If you are an audio listener, please go rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor, as those are the 3 platforms we mainly push out our content on if you are an audio listener. So please go over there. But obviously, I just completely forgot. We're going too fast. But if you are new to the channel or you find yourself coming back anyway and watching these videos, why not hit subscribe? It's completely free, no cost to you. And it helps us out tremendously, as it lets YouTube know that this is a show that people really want to watch. And same thing, while you're down there, please hit that like button. It does that same thing to the YouTube algorithm that really shows YouTube that this is a show that people want to watch. Not only my show, but Howard's shows which were just before this, and Thursday, the flagship show. So please, if you enjoy the show, please like and subscribe. We would greatly appreciate it. As for the power picks, Howard puts on an amazing tip sheet every single Saturday morning. It is sent out. It covers every single thing they cover in the show on Thursday, plus an extra track, all with spot plays, grid, ABC pick 5 grids, and horses that Howard likes through the sequence that might go off at a little bit of a price. So if you're interested in that, please go hit that up, as we had almost $1 over the average ROI for last year, which is an absolutely insane number. They do a great job over there. So please, if you're interested in a very, very affordable, comes out to only $4 a weekend, if you're interested in the tip sheet, please go to patreon.com/HHH Racing Podcast. The link is also below in the description. And if you want to see previous versions of that, learn about us or anything on the podcast, please go to our great website, which is HHHRacingPodcast.com. And again, thank you to our sponsors of these episodes. BetUS, it's a fantastic sports betting and casino platform, which was great. We used it throughout the Super Bowl. They offer so many props, so many games. Everything that you could think of to bet on is on that site. So please, if you're going to go deposit money, please use code RACING3H, the number 3, RACING3H, to get a free 125% back if you deposit $100 or more. And please check out Crown's Way Racing. They're going through an amazing ownership opportunity right now with Series E. That is all linked down in the description. And this website is also linked down in the description. It'll tell you all about the horses that myself included, I have a small piece of, and everything else. If you want to contact them, please email Anthony Rollo at crownswayracing.com or DM them on Twitter at Crownsway Racing. And let me bring on our co-host here, and then we'll go through some comments, and we'll get right into the Super Bowl talk, guys. So from New Jersey, it is Patrick Kuenzel, and from Ohio State, the Ohio State University, Charlie Freeman. Boys, what's going on tonight?
How we doing?
Got time to crack the beers, boys. I forgot to crack it before we started, but cheers to everybody out there. We'll see, you're prepared. I'm not. That's the way it goes. But cheers to everyone out there, and let's get it started with some comments. Vale Place, Thanks so much for joining the show. Cheers to you, my friend. I appreciate it. Ralph Conti, thanks so much again. I greatly appreciate it. As you know, Ralph Conti, congratulations. Had Kansas City but wrong with the under. Yeah, I mean, it really you knew from like after the first quarter where it's 14-7 after the first quarter. You knew it was going to be a rough sailing for that under, which I took the over. But again, as people know that watch the podcast, I unfortunately had Philadelphia. As Charlie, I'm sure will give you a bit more as we get into it. But Penn State's got Birds got stopped. They definitely, hey, we can go over that, but it's a ticky-tacky call, as I call it. And it's just, they hate to see games like as big of magnitude as that decided by such a small call. But, it puts them, it was going to be fourth down, if I'm not mistaken, on that play. And then it turns into a first down from the 4-yard line with a minute and a half left. And next thing you know, you're down completely. But I completely agree. And we'll get into it, obviously, like I said right now. Patrick, I kind of want to go to you first. I want you to just basically, I want us to touch on the bets that we made, which I gave out a lot of my props on Wednesday night, which I was very happy about. But just talk about how your weekend went, what you did and how your betting was.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Philadelphia really, 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 really put my day down for Super Bowl Sunday. Kenneth Gainwell had a good Sunday, so that kind of made me a little bit happy because I had a lot of bets that dealt with him and Jalen Hurts, like I talked about on the Wednesday show. The game did not play out the way I thought it would. Like I said, I thought the Philadelphia was going to dominate on both line of scrimmages, and to be quite frank, they got dominated on the defensive line of scrimmage. KC's offensive line handled them in every way, shape, or form. Their defensive line did not show anything, and they were up 10 at half, but I don't think it was a comfortable 10. Like I wasn't going at the half thinking they were, that this game was over because they didn't show me anything that made it seem like it was. And then Hurts has that fumble 6, and that was the one thing that we talked about. I said Eagles are 4-0 on turnover ratio in the playoffs. They lost the turnover battle, and it was a fumble return touchdown. It just was not good. And Philadelphia, at the end of the day, they just got outcoached. That was another thing we talked about. Andy Reid, Nick Sirianni, outcoached. And, I'll take it. Bad pick by me. And but it was a great game. Great Super Bowl. I mean, that defensive holding, personally, that's a defensive hold all day of the week. I'm throwing that flag. It's a penalty. I mean, you grab the guy, you restrict him from, breaking out of a route. It's a penalty. And it just stinks that it had to be in that moment of the game. But I'll let Charlie banter about his Chiefs winning and everything that he told us on Wednesday.
Yep, Charlie, how much shit are you gonna give us for this?
Yeah, no, I've been waiting for this because it's not even just Super Bowl. I'm very mad at myself for not betting it. I'm just happy because everything, and I know we'll touch on it, but everything in the sports world for me, like I'm on cloud 9 wouldn't even justify it. I'm on like cloud 50 to be honest. Everything's going my way lately. So obviously we start with the Super Bowl. Nailed obviously the Chiefs, said it from the start. Doubled down on it, tripled down on it, kept hammering in no matter what points were brought up. And then I also want to point out, I know I got the Chiefs right, but I also want to point out the only person who was repeatedly begging everybody to take the over as well. I hit both of them. And I'm mad because the only other thing, this is mine, I don't really care, but I mean, the people don't know this, but after the show, Howard was asking us to give our prop bets. And I made it very clear I am not a prop bet guy. I never do this. And I said, admittedly, I was joking to an extent, but I had said, what about the octopus bet? I was like, that just feels like a bet that could hit. Someone to score a touchdown and the 2-point conversion. Like, what if that happens to happen? And it actually did, and I didn't realize how rare it is to happen, but I literally was just saying it as a joke. But the fact that I got that right, I didn't know I was going to be on this kind of heater. I wish I did, because then I could have given that out. And I know we'll touch on it later. I got the shirt on for a reason. But, the team I support in the NBA is going to be the champs. I already went to a jewelry store to get my ring size figured out. And on top of that, Northwestern beat the #1 team in the nation. I mean, obviously, they're the best team in the Big Ten. They're playing Indiana right now. So, yeah, I know we'll stick to the Super Bowl, but, yeah, life's been very good lately. We'll just put it that way.
The top team in the Big Ten that gets shit on by one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. Hey,
one of the worst. We're #2 in the Big Ten. We're going to
Michigan's one of the worst. Yeah, Michigan's one of the worst teams in the Big Ten, but still get. I mean, it's basketball. It's not like football where those best teams walk in and just absolutely slaughter everybody.
Like the Ohio States of the world.
Yeah. But I mean, look, the game was absolutely a great game. I know Matt Miller put it in the chat. It was just a great watching game. Like, you didn't even have to bet it to have any sort of, elation. It didn't matter who you were rooting for. If you're a fan of football, you were a fan of that game. It was just an absolutely great game. I mean, the Chiefs were down at half. Andy Reid says some BS, and then all of a sudden they're back up to touchdown. Like, it's just Andy Reid. You can't say enough good things about Andy Reid. I love him just for the person he is, let alone the coach he is. Cheeseburgers and all that stuff. He's just an absolutely great guy. So, it's always good to see him, and especially I'm sure it's bittersweet for him as it was against his basically his former team, which he coached to a Super Bowl back then as well. I mean, but for me, betting wise, just on a personal note, I mean, I was set from the first drive.
I was going to say, didn't you go 3 for 3 to start the day?
I went 4 for 4 to start.
Yeah, he was set before the game started.
I was too, to be fair. My biggest bet of the day, as I told everyone on last Wednesday, was tail. It's tails always. It's big. The biggest bet I always make is the under coin toss to start, and I've been right 4 times in a row, which is it's shit luck, to be fair. But it was. What?
I honestly thought it was going to be tails just because I saw something on my TikTok feed of some guy. Like, I saw multiple different people place over $10,000 on it to be head. So, like, I know you can't rig a coin toss, but I was like, I'm feeling better for Kyle right now.
Hey, Vegas
all the big bets I saw with that.
Hey, my girl before, she flipped it right for me, so that was perfectly fine. So, yeah, like you said, I was set before but I mean, like, I love just, like I said, the first drive determines whether it's going to be a great day for me, an absolute crap day. I had tails. I had a touchback for a kickoff for a touchback. I had a run. The run is the first game of the game of the play. Nice, Kyle. The play of the game, and I had either team to score on the opening drive. So, yeah, the first drive set me for the entire day. And granted, I lost everything after that, but all my stupid prop bets brought me home, and I was able to cash on a decent profit. But yeah, like I said, like, if you're a fan of football, it was just an absolutely great game. I might be in the minority. I think Rihanna absolutely killed the halftime show. That's like prime of my life music right there, is old Rihanna. So I was singing along the whole time. I won't admit it. That the meme with all the people in the white jackets running out is like my favorite thing right now. That shit is funny as hell. But
you see the marshmallow thing?
Yeah, the marshmallow thing. Exactly.
So
That's
funny.
what I mean. It's just stuff like that. It happens every year for the Super Bowl, and I just get an absolute kick out of it. People rip on the halftime show for no matter what it is. I mean,
I thought it was fun.
I did too.
It was one of the first times I've actually vibed to all the songs. Like, I'll be honest, I'm not the kind of person who will actually like sit down and stare at the screen during the halftime show. I'm the person who's like sitting, talking to your friends, checking in on like other stuff going on with the world, like maybe getting like a tiny bit of homework done last minute because it's a time crunch in college for sure. Yeah. But then like just listening to it in the background and just nodding my head. And like, I usually am able to just tell by that, like if I'm able, like, I don't really care about the visual stuff, to be honest with you. If I'm able to nod my head and vibe, I'm set. Because there's definitely been halftime shows before where I've looked over and been like, I'm paying attention not because I like it, because I'm like, what on earth is happening? This is terrible. So I don't really get the hate. And I didn't even know she was pregnant. So I was like, that's
neither did I. Yeah,
more impressive. And I was like, I thought it was decent. And I did want to touch on the holding call. As a Saints fan, I feel like this is my kind of realm.
Yeah, that is
call versus no call. And to be honest, I do think they got it right. I think the reason people are upset, that people are misunderstanding, is it's not that people, at least what I was seeing on Twitter, it's not that people were saying it wasn't a holding call. This is what, like, I respect but also frustrated me, is I would see people get angry. They would say it was a holding call, but it wasn't a bad hold, so you can't call that. But that doesn't make sense to me. I understand it's the Super Bowl, it's a big moment, but just because he didn't tackle the guy, a hold is a hold is a hold. Now, unfortunately, that's not always true in pass interference, because, the Saints would have won a Super Bowl, but apparently assaulting a guy before the ball gets there is not a flag if every ref is from California and Roger Goodell wants the bigger market. But karma ate up with them, because then it was the most boring Super Bowl in NFL history. Also, I don't know if you guys saw this, but some guy, I saw this on BR Bettin, won a ton of money because his wife right before the game said the score was 38-35. And it's crazy because actually the leaked script was almost right. I don't know if you all saw, but Nate Burleson, or whatever, the wide receiver from the Lions, who was on Good Morning CBS. Football or something. Yeah, he nailed it. It was ridiculous. He was like, Mahomes MVP, Chiefs to win, and they'll win 38-35. So he must have gotten the script. He had to, because he said all three very confident.
Yeah, like I said, Arian Foster gave it to him. But but yeah, I mean, like I said, that shit was like prime of my life. I love the halftime show. Like I said, it was just a good game. Like, I was very happy with the way it played out. Granted, not because I gave the losing bet out to everybody naturally, but I was plugging for the over too. Don't get it twisted, but like I said, I kind of just let you guys talk because it was absolutely funny as hell listening to you guys try and rant back and forth to each other. But like I said, I'm more than happy. Again, I cashed on the first drive. I was perfectly fine. So hopefully all of you out there cashed as well. As it hurts when you don't win, but it's just, like I said, just a good game in general. And Vale Plays showing some love for Charlie. I'm sure he greatly appreciates it. The damn octopus, dude. He told you, but then is his next comment, Patrick, is the Eagles waited to throw the touchdown pass.
You know what? I'll admit it. I sent Howard a text midway through the first quarter, and I said the Eagles are not going to have to throw the ball once to win this game. They're going to run it right down the throat. That's what it seemed like on the first drive. I'm like, this is unbelievable.
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
they score a touchdown. I'm like, you know what? All right, maybe they will throw the ball. Don't throw the ball until they get the ball back with like 2 minutes to go in the quarter. I'm like, oh crap, they got to throw a bomb.
Mm-hmm.
They don't throw a bomb until right after the end of the first quarter. I'm like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I think Miles Sanders took one after he fumbled that first play or whatever. I don't think he got the ball again for like a quarter and a half, maybe.
Oh yeah, he was non-existent. He had negative 2 yards at half.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course, he's on my parlay to score a touchdown. That was the only one I needed. Oh no, Devonta Smith actually did not get in the end zone, which that pissed me off so much.
I'm getting the log of the comments, but
I know you are. I see it in there. But you're like to your point, we were talking about that prop bet where over under 1.5 yards for the closest touchdown. There was 2 touchdowns from the 1 yard line.
Yeah.
So that is an easy cash. But Vale Plays knows what's up. As the best bet, of course, was the coin toss. Always is the best bet, especially when you hit it and it sets you for
50-50.
Absolutely not, especially when it sets you up for the rest of the day. That's always best.
See, Jim, that's 50-50 though.
Well, yeah, whether you win or lose, yeah, I guess so.
Exactly.
But Jim, yeah, I'm not gonna. You're not old, Jim, but that, like I said, I think I recognize all the songs. She played her bangers. Like there's nothing to say. Just every song that she played, she didn't play like anything obscure or anything. The only thing she didn't play was "Don't Stop the Music," and I really wanted to hear that one. I thought she was going to open with that, but she actually
as long as she sung "Umbrella," I was happy.
Yeah. Oh, you knew that was coming. I'm really surprised. I thought she was going to end on that, but she actually ended on "Diamond," which I like. I mean, it's a really good song too. So don't get me wrong.
I mean, I was vibing the whole time. I didn't really care about the order. I was like, you know what? Because like I'm not the biggest Rihanna person. Like she definitely has bangers, but I'm not the person who's actively in my free time trying to listen to her music. But like the fact that most of her songs I pretty much like knew all of them instantly. That's all I'm really looking for. Because I'm in the same boat as you, Kyle. Since I'm not like a diehard Rihanna fan, I just want it to be songs that I'll recognize. So again, I can just kind of be in the background vibing to it.
Dude, Where Have You Been? Only Girl in the World, Diamond, Umbrella, dude, bangers. That's all I'm saying.
You know what was good too, and so we really shouldn't elaborate on the halftime show, but
I know.
Most halftime performances that they like to change and they like to change the sets and stuff like that. She stuck to the same set and just sung her song. Like I like that. Like people were like, "Nah, you got to change it up." No, I like that. Stick to that and just sing and perform. It was good. It was good. Yeah, I did like it. It was good.
Like I said, only the best analysis out here is we're analyzing the halftime show and what goes on.
Exactly.
But Charlie, it's your time to shine, my friend, because we're gonna go on which your team made a lot of moves, and my team ended up picking up one of those moves, which I don't really know how happy I am about it. But the Bucks need someone else down low other than Giannis, because I mean Giannis can score 40 points all day, but Drew Holiday actually scored 40 points the other day, which I've been waiting 2.5 years for him to do that, but. It's the way it goes. But we're going to talk a little bit about the NBA deadline before we get into the horse racing, guys. Charlie, like I said, the Suns made a lot of big moves. I kind of wanted you to elaborate on a few of them because this is a great topic for your rants. So I wanted to get it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no. So I mean, honestly, I have strong feelings about the entire NBA. I could go through almost every trade that happened. But yeah, no. So I mean, I feel like the first team we kind of have to address actually isn't entirely my Suns. I think it's the team they traded with, which is the Nets. Obviously, they had a very, very busy trade deadline. Now, what I think makes this whole thing so interesting is I don't know why the Nets. Look, Kevin Durant actually, contrary to belief, because I follow every Suns reporter, so I'm looking at every inside source, every inside story, etc., to find out about everything that went down. And Kevin Durant was actually a very loyal guy. He wanted to stick through all this stuff. He wanted to see everything out. When Harden left, he didn't demand the trade. It was Kyrie originally. Even though Kyrie had all the drama, with his injuries, the vaccine, some of the stuff he was posting on his social media that was considered anti-Semitic, whatever, all that stuff. He was still trying to stick out through all of that. And Kevin Durant, but what makes it interesting is the reason I can tell that they really trust Kevin Durant and feel that he's loyal to the Nets was the trade that they made for Kyrie Irving, which to me, I didn't understand. I don't care how much you love Kevin Durant and find him loyal. The reality is, no matter what you try to convince the guy, that team was never going to be able to contend without Kyrie Irving because you were never going to get a star back for a disgruntled player who has a bunch of drama, whose contract expired.
You're hating on the guy that didn't play a single game last year for the Nets? Is that who you're hating on?
Correct. And so, well, actually, no, not Ben Simmons. That's a whole other problem. But so basically, the reason why what I struggle with the Nets was trading for Kyrie Irving trading away Kyrie Irving the way they did, because honestly, now I'm kind of happy he didn't go to the Lakers because I can't stand Lakers fans, so I'm kind of praying on their downfall. The fact that they didn't get Kyrie. I mean, I don't like the Mavs, so I'm not exactly thrilled about that either. But if you think about it from a logical perspective, that trade made more sense because the reason I think they traded, well, actually they said this, the reason they made the Kyrie Irving trade the way they did was they were trying to do the best win now move to build around Durant, and they got quality pieces. Dorian Finney-Smith is a very good long 3-and-D guy. He's a little up there in age, but he's not selfish. He doesn't have an ego. He knows how to play alongside stars. And you get Spencer Dinwiddie, who's a very solid point guard. He's been with the Nets before, so they know how to use him. But again, that trade makes sense if you keep KD. And I'll be honest, I had been tweeting because I have some inside sources with the Suns that not like on the Suns, but that are connected with the Suns that I stay in touch with throughout the year. And they had been preaching since May that Kevin Durant would be a Sun at some point. Now, I'll be honest, I thought it was going to be in the offseason. I really did. I was hammering it to my friends. You can go through my whole Twitter feed for anyone who follows me. I have so much Katie to the Sun stuff, and I actually retweeted some of my old tweets. But then, yeah, I said it would end up happening. 5 days actually before the Kevin Durant trade to the Suns happened, I said it was a done deal off of just pure like what I had been told and believed. And so, yeah, it did happen. I'll be honest, it was a hard trade to accept. I love KD. I think we're the favorites. I pretty much think the season's already been determined, but obviously we have to watch it play out. Injuries can happen. Anything can happen. The refs don't like Chris Paul. Scott Foster's defeated him in every single playoff game, so you never know. Maybe they get Scott Foster to officiate a key game and they lose. But the reason it was tough for me is I love Mikal Bridges. I really do. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but it was reported that they got offered 4 first-round picks, the Nets did, after they got Mikal Bridges. They were offered 4 first-round picks for him, which is crazy. But I actually personally see it. If OG Anunoby's worth 3, Mikal Bridges is more efficient. He's a better shooter. He stays way healthier. He's a better defender, in my opinion. So I can kind of see it. But that's what honestly made it tough for me with the Suns trade. It was really hard for me to have to see them lose Mikal. I mean, I love Cam Johnson too. That certainly wasn't easy by any means. Yeah, no, I still love the trade. I think we're the clear-cut favorites. Jay Crowder had to go, apparently, which again I saw from inside sources that I'd been messaging with. Now, actually, what had held up the trade was, so the Suns didn't want to trade Mikal Bridges over the summer. Then they added that. And then right as the trade was going to be agreed on, the Nets were like, never mind, we also want Jay Crowder. And obviously they didn't want to keep him, but they wanted to flip him. And so then that's why it ended up, obviously, staying, and then they got that through. And then your Bucks brought him up. And I'll be honest, I'm a bit surprised that the Bucks gave up as much as they did. That really shocked me, to be honest with you. I don't know why 5 second-round picks became a thing, because then right after that, the Gary Payton trade, Saddiq Bey, 5 second-round picks is just like the new thing, I guess, in the NBA. But that also surprised me. I think that's a lot to give up for Jay Crowder. He's an old guy, hasn't played in a while. There's not many teams that would want him. He can't really do much for you. He's a good defender. He's good at starting fights. And when his three's on, he's very serviceable. And when his three's off, he's useless. He does talk a lot of crap to LeBron, but they're not going to see LeBron in the playoffs. I don't know. I didn't love it. Definitely some trades I liked, though, and didn't like throughout the league. Yeah, I'm curious also, though, what you think about it. I mean, I will say for Howard out there, and since I am from Chicago, I do want to talk about my Bulls for a second. Very disappointed and surprised that they didn't make any moves. Yeah, I'm happy that Jim brought that up. I'm stunned that they didn't make a single move. Because now the problem is they're in a situation where I can't tell if they want to rebuild or if they want to retool, because they didn't make any moves that hint towards either way. Like why they wouldn't trade Kobe White when his value's at its highest and they might not bring him back is beyond me. They want Russell Westbrook. Apparently, I don't really get it. I don't think he does anything for you. I don't know. There were definitely a lot of puzzling moves that happened as well. I thought the Clippers had a very good deadline. I thought the Nuggets had some underrated moves as well, like bringing in Thomas Bryant. Celtics, the Raptors also surprised me. I thought they were going to clear house. And next thing you know, they're trading for Jakob Poeltl and bringing him back to try to keep the team together. It was a very exciting, one of the most exciting and interesting deadlines I personally have ever won. Obviously, I have a little bit of bias. And then obviously the buyout market's been crazy. I love that the Suns got Terrence Ross, though.
Yeah, look, two things is one. I thought the Bulls were gonna flip Zach LaVine for sure because
Oh yeah, I saw that
they've
too.
been talking so. I don't know if he's been talking so much crap or what's been going on, but they needed to do something. Like I said, Levine's getting closer and closer to the end of his contract. I thought they're just gonna flip him for something for draft picks or something on a rebuild. Keep like young guys like Kobe White or something like that, and flip a guy like Zach LaVine. I thought would have been really good for that, but it just like I said, I mean, I'm from Chicago too, but I never watched basketball until I went to college in Wisconsin. So I basically became a Bucks fan by trade. But it's disappointing. I mean, it's just Chicago. It's just Chicago teams. That's the way they do it. Is they don't flip anything. They don't ever trade. They never do
Well,
anything.
the Bears got rid of everything though.
Well, they needed to. They suck.
Yeah.
They technically they still suck, but like I said, hopefully they flip that first round pick or first overall pick for something good. But again, I really don't mind Jay Crowder. Like I would have liked someone a little better, and especially like you said, for what they gave up. But they need another big man. Brook Lopez, like he's a good player, but he doesn't do anything for that team. He just doesn't. I don't know if he doesn't gel well with the team anymore, or he's just getting old. He can't splash mountain it anymore.
Doesn't help that he's not mobile at all.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, is whether so, he does what I used to do in basketball. He'll sit in the corner and just wait for a pop out to shoot a corner three and make 2 out of 7 that he shoots. But I mean, if they need another big man, and Jay Crowder could definitely fill that hole for them. It's just a matter of how well Jay Crowder meshes with the team and how well he plays. Because I mean, Jay Crowder, like I said, Jay Crowder's that guy where he's going to want the ball, but Giannis is that playmaker that needs that ball in the post, and he's the guy that they need to put the ball into his hands to be able to make those types of plays. Which George Hill, fuck him, he sucks. He was good for us the first run. He's absolutely awful. I'm so glad they got rid of him. Granted, for what, but I'm so glad they got rid of him.
Considerations, I think.
So that's what he's worth. So
cash considerations is an underrated talent, though. He's not old and he doesn't cost you $4 million to do nothing.
That's true. I mean, I see a lot of people going for him, and they deserve it. But like I said, I'm just waiting to see how Jay Crowder meshes with the team. But if he actually plays well in Milwaukee, that could be something.
I do want to hit on an underrated move, by the way. I want to know, Patrick, what you think, because I actually really like the Josh Hart move for the Knicks. And I'm curious what Patrick wants to say about it. Because I think my friends who are New York Knicks fans were very happy about it.
I like it. Everybody thought they gave up a lot, but in these deadlines, you got to give up a lot to get a solid player, and he's a solid player. He's going to come off the bench. He's going to be a stud. He's going to be a stud defender, and he's going to put up. He put up 27. He put up 27 points in his second game with the Knicks, so he's good. We got the Villanova twins, Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart. I like it.
Mikal.
Oh, yeah. Gosh, yeah.
Mikal's going to require a lot more to be traded over there. I'll tell you that much.
I also thought what was interesting was what went down. Like, I don't know if you guys saw the whole crazy thing that went down. It seems more like an NFL type thing, like the Dolphins with Tua. But with the 4-team trade that ended up happening, like with the Warriors, Hawks, Blazers, and Pistons. I don't know if you guys saw, but Gary Payton Jr. had a really, really bad injury. I think it was to the ribs or something. And the Blazers basically just gave him shots and were just say you're fine, toughen it up, and play through it until the deadline so we can trade you to where you want to go. And then the Warriors were just told nothing, literally nothing. Yeah. And then when their medical team looked at it, they were like, he might need surgery that would put him out for the season. Now they went through with it, but I'm just kind of stunned that a team could. I mean, again, I know that in the NFL it happens, but that's not even with a trade. That's just internally trying to say that Tua having a concussion that's one of the worst you've ever seen was just a sore back. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, I was kind of stunned that they just casually tried to get away with that. And I'm really, I mean, I guess we have to wait till the offseason because that's when they would do this. But I'm honestly surprised the league didn't fine or take away a draft pick or something from Portland, because that's really messed up to tell a player hey, I know you're suffering from a really bad injury, but we're going to give you shots and you're just going to say you're fine and play through it. I feel like there has to be some sort of
and they still suck
morals. Yeah.
That's the worst part is when you do that type of stuff and then you still suck.
Yeah. It still hasn't worked. They're still Damian Lillard is ruining his career by trying to be the loyal guy because they can't put anyone around him. They just got rid of McCollum to set up to get Jeremy grabbed. It didn't work.
Well,
I just want to say one last thing about the Suns, then I promise we can move on. But I feel like their team is just going to be. Also, I just want to hit on Jay Crowder real quick. I think he's a good fit though because he wants the ball, but he only really wants the ball. He's kind of like a PJ Tucker, but just like a little more versatile. Where he really just like that's all he has to be for you guys. It's just like a slightly more efficient PJ Tucker from three. He just kind of needs to stand around and catch open threes when Giannis gets like trapped in the paint. But yeah, for the Suns, I think what makes it so interesting is like Chris Paul just now or last night had 19 assists. So like he's still got it. Devin Booker finally looked healthy. Like he was able to go get up and throw down a nice dunk, which is good to see because with a groin injury, it's hard to be explosive. What I just think is interesting is like DeAndre Ayton looks motivated again. If anybody follows me on Twitter here, I highly recommend it if you want to laugh a lot. I get really angry and rant a lot, just like I do here. But I'm not a DeAndre Ayton guy. I think he's overpaid and low effort. But all of a sudden now that KD's here, he wants to try a little, which is nice to see. But yeah, I mean, but what's so interesting to me is you have Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and Kevin Durant, who are three of the best mid-range shooters of all time. So our three-point shooters are just going to be wide open the whole game. But what also is going to be interesting is in the league nowadays where it's all just layups, dunks, and threes, we're probably going to end up being the most mid-range shooting team in NBA history. Like we have three guys who only take mid-range shots on our team. So I just think the Suns are a matchup nightmare. People say that we've lost all our defense because Mikal Bridges. Kevin Durant is a good defender. Devin Booker's a serviceable defender. Chris Paul's a good defender. DeAndre Ayton's a lazy piece of crap, but sometimes he plays defense. Torrey Craig or Josh Okogie, whoever our fifth guy is a great defender. Again, DeAndre Ayton, I hate him. He's the softest big man ever. I legitimately think at 5'9", 150 pounds, I could go beat him up. Like, I think if I saw him in a dark alley, he's in trouble. And I don't even know what I'm doing, but the guy's just so soft. He's lazy, has no motor. But, no, I trust him.
Hey, like I said, I mean, for me and you both, you hope something benefits from both of our trades.
Finals. I'm on smoke. I want the Bucks again. I want them in 4.
Yeah, but I'll see you there.
Scared of the Suns. Patrick's not scared because the Knicks are honestly
I've never been
looking for a playoff appearance, but I know everybody knows that the Suns are going to be a problem. They're going to win the championship.
I've never been less scared of Kevin Durant than I am right now. Let's say that.
I'm surprised. He's never had this much talent around him since his Golden State days, and at that point, it was over.
Never had this much talent. Did he have James Harden? And what's his name?
James Harden wasn't what he is yet, and Russell Westbrook is a walking brick who happens to be able to have nice dunks.
Well, he was on the Nets as well.
Kyrie Irving.
Okay, the Nets, it's just Kyrie Irving. And Kyrie Irving for how many games? And when you had James Harden for how many games? And think about he
still Kevin Durant had talent. You said talent. I'm just trying to,
I mean, like actual playable, good, fits around himself. And the other thing is like, if you look at Kevin Durant, right, when he played Milwaukee, if he was a slightly smaller shoe size, that team is done. And he has so much more talent around him now. So I think that Milwaukee team is shivering in their timbers if they see them. I think that Celtics team is shivering. And quite frankly, in the West, I hate to mimic John Morant because I think he's so cocky, but I'm not scared of the West or whatever he said. I'm fine in the West. That's what he said. I'm fine in the West. I am. No team in the West scares me, to be honest with you. What, the Nuggets, the team we swept? You're telling me we had Kevin Durant and they get Jamal Murray and I'm supposed to be scared? Oh, no. They might lose one of their games by single digits now instead of all blowouts. I'm not scared of a single team in the West. Not one. I would be concerned if we win a series in less than 5 games against any team in the West. It is going to be a cakewalk. Granted, we have to be healthy. If we're healthy, it's a cakewalk. That's how I see it. That's why I need to go to a jewelry shop and get my ring size figured out.
Yeah. I'll see you there, my friend. But
you can come help me look at it. I want your input since the Bucks already got this.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I'll take it for what it is. But all right, enough jibber jabber. Let's go on to what people actually want to hear. They don't want to hear us just completely rant off our ass. Oh, I'm sure they do.
Likes me. I know Vale likes me.
Yeah, everyone loves listening to your rant until we have to actually go on to something. But let's go on to our horse racing segment because this I'm actually extremely interested in. This is a very, very interesting sequence.
Very difficult for me.
Yeah, with everything going on at Gulfstream, obviously the massive day is at Fairgrounds that Howard and his team are covering tomorrow, which is Louisiana Derby preview day with the Risen Star Stakes and some massive other stakes races. They're covering an all stakes pick 5, I believe, tomorrow. So if you're interested, please go check that out. But as of right now, the boys, we're going to switch over to Gulfstream Park where that, like I said, a really nice filly who raced last year in the Oaks, and I believe was like the second or third choice in the Oaks because Secret Oath was 4th choice and she won. Kathleen O. So it should be really interesting. But like I said, we're going to go to it right now. I'm going to bring up our picks. Race 9 is what starts the late pick 4 sequences on Bettin N Boozin. We cover pick 4s. And Patrick and I have the exact same horses. Charlie just has the 2 instead of the 9. This is a allowance optional claiming for 35,000, which the morning lines are not out yet, as we are still 4 days out. But I would assume that the morning line favorite is going to be the number 8 Venezuelan Triumph for Irad Ortiz and Victor Barbosa Jr. As I bring up the PPs right now, guys, Patrick, I'm going to let you go first. You have the number 4 Cashier Check on top for Edgar Zayas and also for Victor Barbosa Jr.
Yeah, Victor Barbosa Jr.'s had a solid year as a trainer. This horse, last time out in a stake, 70K stake, not a big stake, but was the favorite in that race. Just didn't really show up. This didn't really fire. Now I was trying to pinpoint why. I couldn't really tell. The fractions weren't all that quick. Maybe the horse didn't have a chance to catch up on the pace, but I don't know exactly what it was. But this horse was trending in the right direction. I mean, you look 3 back 84 buyer and then 2 back 88 buyer. Like, this horse was running solid. Now the horse didn't win in both those races, but those were higher level races than this. So the horse is dropping down a little bit. And I think this horse fits in right in there with him. And, I'm going for a price, to start off. I'll have the 8 on my ticket, but I'm going for a price.
Yeah. And like I said, I think this horse might be somewhere. I even think this horse might be second choice, honestly. I think this horse might be second choice behind the number 8. And then probably the third choice would be probably R9, which we'll get to in a second. But look, this horse has done nothing wrong in its last. Granted, dropped 10 points, but these last few races on the Tapeta have been really good. Granted, look, this is my concern though, is these ice cold fractions. For 31 early 49, those are ridiculously slow. I don't know if he's going to be able to get that here, which is why I actually went with the 8 on top. I think the 8 might just get a better trip, but this horse has, top of the top speed figure, buyer speed figures in this race. So there's no reason why this horse definitely won't be in the mix for sure. Charlie, me and you both have the number 8. And first, I'm going to let you talk first before I give my 2 cents. What do you like about Venezuelan Triumph?
Yeah, so obviously, it's very easy to start with the fact that Irad Ortiz is on it. That always gets you excited. Irad has been on a roll. I know there was a day where, I know Luis Sai is also one of these days, but there was a day where, Irad, we were talking about it in our group chat, where, he almost won every single race. It was just ridiculous. But so he's obviously him. And then, I love the figures on the horse. The consistency's been there. And also, I like its running style, and it's been fairly consistent with it in its last 2 races, particularly. Now, I know its last race was the first one off a big layoff, but it had a good run. I like that it kind of set off the pace a little bit and then had a strong finish. Obviously, you can see in the comments that it was in a little bit tight. And so I think, honestly, if maybe it didn't get it obstructed at all and could have had a perfectly or a more clean trip, it could have gotten the job done. But again, I think Irad as the jockey now is definitely a plus for it to step forward even more. It was its first race off the layoff. So I think in the second race, it'll take another step forward. And yeah, again, I mean, it had a really solid workout when it ran, which one? So I don't remember which work off the top of my head, to be honest, but it's been working fine. Again, I like that Irad's in it. I like the style. I just think, again, like you were kind of mentioned with the 4-2, I saw that the pace didn't look anything crazy. So I just feel like he could end up sitting off behind the 4 and a few others and then just make a move late. And I think the 4, though, has been consistent enough to be right behind it. But yeah, so that's how I ended up with the 8 on top.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. Look, this last race, this showing up stakes, it's a completely open company, a listed stake for 70K at Gulfstream. Granted, it was on Breeders' Cup. Excuse me, geez. It's back on Breeders' Cup Saturday, which is November 5th. So it is coming off a little bit of a layoff, but they went super slow. Look at this first quarter. This first quarter is 25 seconds flat. And he's sitting back in 6th and 7th and only loses by 3/4 of a length to a horse in Night Jumper who was on the close to the pace last time. 83 buyer doesn't scare me. Any one of these 5 buyers can easily win this race, in my opinion, which this horse just seems to stay consistently at that 80 to 86 buyer on the Tapeta at about a mile and 16th. So that I really like that this short horse shows consistency. I really like that it's like I said, it's showing consistency, but it's going to get a really nice trip. I don't think you're going to see these absolutely glacial fractions in this race. I think you have horses like, I believe it's the 6 might go, the 5 might go, the 4 is going to be close, the 2 is going to be close, maybe? The 9 I don't think so. I think the 9 is going to be yeah, I guess so. When it hasn't gotten back when it's gotten far back, it has been pretty fast. So there's a lot of horses that can show some speed. I think this horse, like I said, even shows that it can close into glacial fractions. That's where I'm going. Like I said, I love Miguel Vasquez at Gulfstream, but in this type of meet, I mean, IRAD is obviously a massive bump up as well. So I know this horse is going to get a good trip under IRAD. It's not that short to the first turn. It's just before the finish line. So they have a decent run up. So I'm not too worried about the out wide post. I think that this horse could get a really good trip. And Charlie, I'm gonna let you talk about the 2, and then Patrick will let you round out with the 9 on this race.
So yeah, the 2 honestly really excites me. I mean, I know it had IRAD, and obviously it doesn't. But again, for me, that's always a good sign. Any horse that's had IRAD in the past, usually IRAD saw something in it. But what I honestly like about this horse is obviously if you look at the past, it had been running a lot 5 furlongs, 5.5, and it just wasn't really responding. It wasn't getting the job done. It would kind of sit off there and then just like not really move, to be honest. It wouldn't really respond. It wouldn't fade or anything. It just would kind of sit off there and then not do anything. But then you look, they tried it at a mile on the turf and it looked decent. And then they went back to the all-weather / like just like the dirt surface of any kind, which seems more like it suits this horse, and kept the distance. So they finally, put 2 and 2 together like, hey, this horse is better on the dirt and better at distance. Let's try both. And ends up having the best race of its career. So I just think it can step forward again. Again, I feel like it just hasn't gotten the chance to have enough experience running at this kind of race that suits it well. I think it's another one that could sit just off those leaders. I think the 2 and the 8 could kind of sit right together, right off those leaders, and then make a move. And that's why I had to include the 2 on my ticket and had to include in my top 3, is I just think if you have that big start at the front where you don't really know who's going to be there, I kind of think, just from what I've been learning through Gulfstream, is it's not as similar to Arlington where it's as easy for closers to get there late with the way the stretch is, but it is a good type of track for stalkers that sit right behind. So I just think the 8 and 2 could both very well get good trips, and I just think the 4 could be the one that sits at the front, and those 2 end up passing it late.
Yeah, and this is the big thing. I'm going to put up Matt Miller's comment because he said it first. Is I call it the speedway at Gulfstream. This Tapeta course, especially in those sprints, it's a little bit less noticeable at route distances, especially ones of big quality. I mean, the quality, I say it's $86,000 purse, but it is optional claiming. Like it tends to be a speedway where horses that get out to the lead stay on the front. I think the 4 might be just the best. I mean, granted, the problem is these fractions are so slow that I don't know if this horse is going to be fast enough to get to the lead by himself. That's the only thing that scares me in this race, is that tendency for the Tapeta to be a speedway. But I trust IRAD that he's going to put this horse into a good spot, and he's going to recognize if they're going slow, and hopefully he can bring that horse up. But like I said, it just comes down to the fact that the 8 and the 4 for me have just run so much better races than everybody else in terms of number wise, except the 9, but we'll get to that right before we go on to the next race. Someone would have to greatly improve to win this race. And that's just the way I see it. But I do want to shout out a new viewer that I haven't seen before. Edward, thanks so much for joining the show. I greatly appreciate it. Yeah, I had that. I took the picture because I'm a sicko and I take pictures of really, really close photos that I lose, and I keep them in a camera roll so that I can look back at them and see how close I could have been. And that starts all the way back from the Arlington days when I used to watch every single race, every single week. But I completely hear you, man. It's an absolutely brutal game, and I feel that pain for sure. Patrick, finish this conversation off with a 9. What do you like about Alley-Oop Johnny?
Yeah, I think this horse is versatile. I mean, you look at some of the horse's races, on the lead, the horses run fairly strong, going longer distances too. So, I think this horse could be right there in the thick of things. And, like Matt said, if this horse wants to go to the lead and he can get the lead, why not this horse taking them wire to wire?
Yeah, I mean, look, if this horse can clear from the outside post, this horse has back numbers to where he's running really fast paces out of the gate. And I mean, like this allowance race back here at 89 went straight to the lead. I know I got to bring it up because Patrick has a sore spot for that one.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, granted, this was claiming 2016, but it's got out to the front with Sayas at 7.5. I mean, this horse can definitely, if he clears from the outside post, this could be definitely scary for sure. And this is the one where if I gave myself a bigger budget on this show, granted, I am the host, but I would have put this one in my ticket as well. This is the one that this was my one that I left out. So, and Vale Place, to answer your question, yes, I do. It seems like it a lot. Like I said, I think it's up to like 25, 30 pictures of ones that literally like this off, and I've lost all of them. It's absolutely ridiculous. So yes, I completely agree with you. So guys, let's go on to the next race here. I'm going to put up our picks going into race 10. And Patrick and I actually have the same top pick, but Charlie is going with the number 4, which means you're going to tell us why we're wrong and you're 100% right, which that's a drink for everyone out there, 100%. I didn't even realize I said that. And you're going with definitely a horse that's going to be a price. It is Brits Candyman for William Theranos and Emma Wilson.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, a little concerning to see that you guys don't even have them at the top 3. But yeah, no, the 4 horse excites me, honestly. We're going 5 furlongs, so it is a shorter race. And as you had kind of mentioned, it's important to get out to the front. And again, for me, it's just one of those where, again, I know he might not necessarily be right on the front, but I like the consistency with the speed figures as of late. The November race was good to see, and it has shown, granted, it was a long time ago, but the horse has shown how fast it can be. And, January was its first race back off of I don't know, it was kind of weird with what they've done with the horse. It was off for a while, bring it back in November off a win, then they hold it out for a while, and then it comes back in January. But I just think, second start, had a really good workout on February 11th with the 48 flat. Luis Saez was on him. I know he doesn't have him this time around. But yeah, I just liked what I'd seen from the horse, and I think this is a race that could suit the horse well. It likes the distance. And I just think it could be right up there with the pace. And I do believe that this horse can get there for the win. And yeah, I don't know. I kind of thought this race was like somewhat wide open. Like for me, there was no clear dominant horse, and this one excited me. And I kind of had a feeling I might be able to get a better price. And when it is a race where it's not the most expensive, it's not the highest quality horses, and not super confident, I'd rather try to take a chance in one of those races than like assume there has to be some dominant horse.
Yeah, look, this is a race. You'll see it on my ticket later. I have 2 races where I'm really skinny and 2 races that I have absolutely no goddamn idea what the hell is going to happen. And this is one of those races. Patrick, I'll let you talk about it. I ended up coming up with this horse on top for a trainer that wins 14% in 2022 and still hasn't won a race yet at this meet. It's exchange day for Marcial Navarro and Miguel Vasquez.
Yeah, turf sprints, you never know. My one angle here with this horse is this trainer, has had a rough meet, but his numbers from synthetic to turf are as solid as they come, and even on the turf is solid. And I think this is where we might get this trainer might get off the schneid here and win this race. It's just such a wide open field. Like I think this horse could just wire them. There's so much that could go wrong though that concerns me. But I'll back them up with the 5 that we both have underneath with Irad Ortiz. This horse is solid. It's been at Woodbine for most of the winter. Came over to Gulfstream and ran on the Tapeta. And I think their idea was this horse. I don't know. The horse is not a big fan of the Tapeta, and so they'll try it with the going on the turf.
Yeah, and I'll touch on the 5 in a second. Just to give my 2 cents here. Look, I'm not saying I wanted to go with a bit of prices because, like I said, anything in this race can happen, especially in these turf sprints. I really didn't want horses to the outside. As we all know, it is extremely hard to win from the outside posts at Gulfstream in these sprints. This horse has run really considerably nice races with Kevin Krieger aboard. Miguel Vasquez, I think, is an upgrade from him. And just being able to get that stalking position in these turf sprints is a really, really good factor. And as long as he has room at the top of the stretch, I think this horse can be dangerous. And touch on a little bit of what you had with the 5 with Irad. It's just this horse really, it just does not excite me. These numbers here, it's had a few. It had an 87 here, and a 79, but there's really no other race in these PPs to suggest that this horse deserves to probably what's going to be the favorite on Saturday at, maybe 2-1, 5-2, because it's wide open. But there's just nothing that jumps out on the page to me that this horse deserves to be what its odds are going to be on Saturday, which this horse could definitely win. But with a lot of stuff that needs to go right and for the horse to improve off its last 2, I'm not going to play it, especially, like I said, at what it's going to be. Charlie, I'm going to let you touch on the 1 here that you have in 3rd. And then actually Patrick has it as well. And I'll let Patrick talk, and then we'll go on to the next race. Love and Making Sense for David Fisher and Chantal.
Yeah, so to be honest with me, even as wide open as I think this is for me, I kind of got down to the 4 and 3. I was kind of flipping, so at least I feel good that I have the 3 in my top 2 on my tickets since you guys seem to love them. But yeah, no, for the 1, I just again the figures have honestly been solid. You look at its form in its last 2 races, even with some hot figures, the horse still was able to hold up and finish in front, which obviously matters to me. And again, for a race that's as wide open as it is, just trying to find a horse that seems like the distance, that seems that like it can handle the pace and get up there. I just think this could be a sneaky horse that could be, and again, another one that could be at a decent price. That again, for as wide open as a field as it is, just was for me one that I wanted to include. And then yeah, I feel sorry about it. I wish I could have seen the workouts. And I don't really know much about the trainer, to be honest with you, or the jockey. But yeah, I like what I've been seeing from the horse recently, and it just felt like one I had to throw in there.
Yeah, look, like I said, there's so many horses in my opinion that can come close to win this race. Like I said, I had the 8 in third. Look, there's not a whole lot of thinking that goes in here. These 2 races, if it's improving off of these 2, can definitely come in and win. Street out of the Street Sense mare that has taken to the turf before. It has numbers. I don't know, man. Like I said, there's so many different ways you can go in this race. I think I'm 5 deep in this race, 5 or 6 deep on my ticket, as we'll go into later. But that's just like I said. I wanted to throw a little bit of a price in there to hopefully get a good trip and get home with Ralph Nixon, Edgar Zayas. Guys, race 11 is the big one for Saturday. It is, as I bring up the PPs here, there's a big name in here, and as I show you guys should already know what it is based on the massive thumbnail that I made. But it is Kathleen O for Shug and Castellano. Like I said, this horse wasn't seen since the Oaks. Racing the Comley at Aqueduct, ran a decent second to 63 caliber, especially after that long of a layoff. Gets a little bit again of a break, but comes back. I'm going with the horse on top as I bring it on. Everyone but me and Charlie both have this horse on top. Patrick is going to be the lone man out, and I have some gripes with the 5, which I'll get into as well. But again, we don't need to talk too much about Kathleen O. She's the standout of the race. She's the classiest of the race. And by all means, as long as she gets a good trip and some pace to run into, this horse can definitely win and will definitely be live on Saturday for Shug, especially with these workouts on the bottom. But Patrick, you are going to tell us why we are completely wrong with the massive favorite. Is the number 5 Classy Edition, who Matt Miller is on your side with Classy Edition. Patrick, tell us why me and Charlie are wrong.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we all know what Kathleen O is and, can be. We just look at that Kentucky Oaks trail and the domination, but she has to prove it to me again. I mean, she hasn't. You look at the Kentucky Oaks, she threw up a dud as the favorite. You look at the race at Aqueduct, the Grade 3, she sits off the pace on fractions that were not all that crazy and just, makes up ground, but beats somebody that's doesn't get me going. I look at Classy Edition now. I mean, this horse has improved at every level she's gone at, and is just I think at the top of her class. And I think this is her time to shine. And IRAD on board. I think this horse at Gulfstream, this horse is going to be rocking and rolling, ready to go, and should pull off the upset.
Like it said, so for me with Classy Edition, this is my gripe: is this horse runs 82, 76, 81, 81 in its high season, which was the lead up to the Kentucky Oaks last year. Gets 4th in the Gazelle besides Nostalgic, Venti Valentine, and Shotgun Hottie. Gets completely off until this January, where she comes back in an optional 25. Absolutely blows the doors off the field and earns a 96, which a 15-point upgrade after what, 9 months of being off. I don't know. Like, this is going to be one of those horses. No, like I said, I completely get what you're saying. This is one of these for me that, especially like I said, getting those massive buyer jumps off the layoff. This is just going to be one that's going to have to prove it to me again. And there's no reason saying why this horse cannot be there and cannot get the right trip and win. As like I said, when I was talking about Kathleen O, this horse is going to need to have the right setup. As Patrick, you touched on, this horse always shows her best, but can never necessarily get there. Like I said, this is just going to be one of those horses that's going to have to show it to me again.
Okay, fair. Yeah, that's fair. Just the one thing, Classy Edition had that long layoff. As the trainer, and I think Pletcher did it good.
Yep.
You don't throw this horse into a stakes race. You ease the horse back in, and that's what he did. This horse, threw a bomb, and Pletcher's like, okay, here we go. Let's and then now you throw in with the Wolves and see what she can do.
No, I mean, look, there's nothing, and especially the big thing is, and I actually just saw in the chat what I was going to talk. They took the words right out of my mouth was, Pletcher could have just given her the time off to mature. And now that she's come back as a 4-year-old, she runs a massive 96. And if she gets the same setup as well, this horse can, like I said, this horse is live because there's not a whole lot of massive speed in this race. I think there's one other ones, which I believe is to her inside. Yeah, here with the 4 Jungle Juice. This horse has got definitely going. There's no doubt about it.
Got
Classy Edition.
Jungle Juice.
Yeah, to throw back to the college days of Jungle Juice. Jesus Christ. But, this horse just sits off and wins. I mean, there's definitely a way that this horse can win. I'm just betting on Kathleen O is just better. But again, there's no saying that Classy Edition can't win. Charlie, I'm going to let you touch on the 7 real quick. Tap Dance Fever for Gerald Bennett and I think Jacob Ferrer. I actually don't even know completely. Jose Ferrer. Thank you. I don't even know where that came from, to be honest. But again, for Bennett and Ferrer, what do you like about this one?
Yeah, so first up for this race, I feel the same way. I messaged you separately about this because I made a mistake. But, I wanted to single the 2. I thought it would be the first time I ever single a horse. But honestly, I'm happy, even more so listening to what Patrick has to say when I've seen the comments, from our chat from Matt and Howard. I thought the 5 is really the only other horse that could beat the 2. I feel like it's a race where if it's able to stay ahead in time, and since not that this is a short race, but for Kathleen O, it is a shorter race. So just in the chance where maybe it's not enough distance and it can't close quick enough, I think it could end up being a scenario where the 2 finishes second behind the 5. So that's why for me it's a 2-horse race. However, I do think the 7 is an interesting wild card where this horse will probably sit right behind the 5 again. It'll be the horse that's in the stalker position. And honestly, if you get rid of its last 2 races, this horse really does nothing for me. But then it came back off a huge layoff, had a good first race. And then, after you have that first race, usually that's where you can start step forward. And if you look, took a fairly bigger step up in class after that first race and looked good again and had a better speed figure and what was a hot pace that it sat off of and then was able to get to the lead. So, I know obviously it's not a Tampa anymore. It is switching to Gulfstream. But, I just think the 7's an interesting wild card. I don't think it can win this race, but I do think depending on the price you can get on it, it could be an interesting horse to put under in your exactas and trifectas.
Yeah, and look, that's definitely the way to play this horse, in my opinion. I think this horse might just be really good at Tampa. I mean, you see all these races at Tampa, 72, 71, 73 as a 4-year-old, and then runs a bunch of duds and then comes back to Tampa and just destroys the field entirely. Tampa's a really deep racetrack, and some horses take to that a lot more well than others. But look, this horse is definitely, I agree with Charlie that this horse can be one of those that you round out your exotics with. And Patrick, any quick things to talk about Midnight Stroll before we move on?
Yeah, this horse, I don't think this horse really has a good chance of winning, but she's run, in some pretty big races. 4 back to Black Eyed Susan was a nobody in that race, but still ran in it. And then, Del Mar Oaks and Charlestown Oaks. So these are all big races, and won the Del Mar Oaks. So you got to give the horse a little bit of credit where credit's due. And the horse is, I think the horse got a shot, but the horse is also stretching back out in distance.
True.
So we'll see. But I don't 2-horse race.
Right. Opinion. I agree, and I'll tell you what, it's the Delaware Oaks. It's not. It doesn't get much better than the Delaware Oaks, not the Del Mar Oaks.
Thank you for correcting me, because that's a bit of a difference.
It is a difference, but I'll give it to you. Slight difference, but hey, like I said, I'll give it to you. And I know I'm getting a lot of hate in the chat for my Kathleen O pick and Classy Edition's the goods. If she's the goods, then I'm wrong for the first. Well, I was wrong
for the first time.
No, for the first time in a while, but I was wrong last week.
Let's hold that one. We were both wrong last week. So
hey, we didn't cover horse racing last weekend, so I can't be wrong if I don't play. But those of you that followed my Twitter picks, I was at least half decent, which is better than normal. So let's move on to the last race, guys. We'll touch on it really quick as we are getting to that hour mark. This race, man,
all button.
I'm not a fan of the all button. Howard knows that. I'm firmly against the all button, but dude, like if someone said the all button, this is one of those races that I would not fault him for. Charlie, I'm going to let you touch. We're going all the way on the outside in the sprints. It's just a care for George Arnold and Javier Kessler.
Oh, I feel even better now. Yeah, I thought this race was a disaster, and I hate betting races like these where it's first time and second time starters. However, the fact that it seems like a disaster, this is always, I don't know, folks, if I'm going to win my ticket. What I will tell you is anytime it's a race where Patrick and Kyle feel terrible and they don't know who to pick, for some reason, that's the race I'm right about. And I only went too deep in this race. So what I will tell the folks is at least Patrick and Kyle have both learned their lesson from this. At the very least, make sure on your tickets you include the 2 I picked, because I always somehow get this race right. But so, yeah, the 2 excites me. I like Javier Castellano on it. I know it's on the outside, but I do think it could cause some damage in this race. None of the first-time starters really impressed or get me excited with their workout times or anything. This was a fairly expensive horse. It was in an expensive race with the maiden special weight at 90K. I think it'll handle the distance well. I think it can honestly get a decent trip. It just can't struggle too much on that outside. I think the 6 furlongs was just slightly too long for it. So I think 5 is definitely short enough to help this horse out. I know 59 is not some impressive figure, but for this field, it somehow is. And yeah, I don't know. The horse just excites me. And again, I think that second race, it could step up and respond off a big layoff. And yeah, this was just one of the few horses, honestly, that gave me any sort of excitement. So I had to make sure it was at the top of my ticket.
Look, I completely get it. I just still 2 things I don't like is I don't like the layoff, and I don't like that it's so far on the outside in a 5 furlong sprint. But the horse, but again, that's what where we go to 10, who has is going to run into that same issue that we have in second. I have on top. But this race, granted, didn't take any money. 17-1 was what it ended up being. It was a little bit crowded at the top of the stretch. This horse still had a chance to get up for minor placing. Was never going to win the race, but as long as this horse can navigate from the outside, I think this horse has a shot in a completely wide open race. And Patrick, I'm going to let you touch on the 2, and then Charlie, I'm going to let you touch on the 3, and then we'll move on as we are getting pretty late here.
Yeah, so with the 2, I mean, this horse ran a 10 buyer. I mean, you could say to me, why? How are you picking this horse? And here's my thing. A lot of first-time starters in this race. This horse has had a lot of time on the training track. Ran in the middle of August at Saratoga in a big first-time starter race, and threw up a dud. The horse just didn't run. Swerved out wide in the first turn, and I will take my chances with Billy Mott on a long layoff, 25% in 180 days. He's going to cut this horse up in distance. So, I'll take a shot. I'm spreading in this race. So this will be my price play. And, we'll see. I mean, I liked your point on the 10. I sprinkled the 7 a little bit, but, that's my top 3. It's nothing special. The 7's a first-time starter for George Weaver. I like the trainer, and I'm going to, I'll stick with that.
Yeah. And look, like I said, the 2 might have run a 10 buyer and it's been off. I think this horse is much better suited from the sprint. You can see this horse has the horse's dam, has really good numbers sprinting on the turf and has a lot other breeding numbers that I think this horse could be definitely suited for. And Mott is just super good off of massive layoffs, as we've seen time and time again. So this horse can definitely be there. I have the 3 again. It just comes down to if this horse can get a trip. This horse has been working on the turf, working decently on the turf. I wouldn't say good by any means, but decently in a race where, a 60 buyer might end up being fine in this race. It might end up winning. So as long as this horse can improve second off this last effort, there's no reason why this horse can't be in the money either. And look, again, this race is just an absolute shit show, for lack of a better term. I'm 6 deep. We'll get into everyone else's right now, but that's just kind of it for you guys, where it really comes down to, for me, it's Kathleen O or Classy Edition. And whichever way you go, I think you have to single. For me personally, my betting strategy, I think you single one or the other, because if you keep both of them in, they're both going to be such short prices that it doesn't make too much sense to be able to put them both in. Granted, you still be alive, but it doubles your bet in a realm where, if a lot of favorites end up, getting especially those 2 in your ticket, it's going to be dropped to play out drastically. So you want to try and press up your opinions. In my opinion, you want to single one of the 2. That would be where I play it. But Patrick, I'm going to let you start here. $18.50 is this pick 4 ticket. It's 4-9 with 135 and singling Classy Edition with 127, 8, 10, 12. And again, that's $18.50. Patrick, talk about your ticket.
Yeah, so in the first 2 legs, I wanted to go skinny-ish to save because I knew I was going to single in the 3rd leg with Classy Edition. Going too skinny in a race that was wide open, like we talked about. Second leg, it's tough. That's a tough race. at the sprint, and you never know. And then Classy Edition. I feel like if I could get the Classy Edition, I got a good shot at it. And
Yeah.
but I got 6 horses deep. There's 10 horses in the race. I can guarantee you one of those 4 is winning. No, I'm kidding. We'll see. Got to think positive.
I love when your Boston accent comes out. It's great on this 4 horses. But I mean, look, there's again, as long as you can get, like I said, the whole pivotal part of the sequence is Kathleen O Classy Edition for me. And again, as you'll see, I actually ended up going the other way, but for better or for worse. Charlie, talk about your ticket. You're going 2-4-8 with 1-3-4 with 2-5 with 10-12, and that's 18 for 50.
Yeah, so for me, again, I know I went with the 2-5 in the third race, which kind of makes me like the bad guy because I took the easy way out. I was going to single the 2. It was going to be my first time ever singling. And then I realized just how thin my ticket already was. So I realized I might as well cover my bases. I still think people can make money on my ticket, though, because as I touched on earlier, I'm very high on the 4 in the second race on our ticket, which it'll probably be at a price. I went very shallow in the last race. So I do still think my ticket definitely has potential to make people some solid money. I feel like the first 2 races for me were honestly harder to dissect. So that's why I wanted to stay 3 deep. Howard, I'm not going to comment on that situation. But so, yeah, for those 2 races, I had to go 3 deep. And then third race, obviously, it's only a 2-horse race. And then, the last race, again, whenever it's a race that's impossible where everybody's hitting the all ticket or 4 horses or 6 horses, I'm the one who goes shallow, and I'm always the one who somehow finds a way that it's there. So as I said to everybody in the chat, please make sure you take some. Hey, at least I did end up giving a Northwestern tweet. Shoot. I was about to say I didn't tweet about them, but I realized I think I did as well. I'm sorry. I'm very happy right now. There's a lot to smile about.
Yeah, there it is.
So there's my ticket. Yep. I got caught red-handed. And Mikhail Bridges is my boy. I'm sorry. I talked about it earlier in the show. I couldn't help it. For those of you who don't know, he dropped 45 tonight. He's him. Couldn't be happier for the guy. But so that's my ticket for those of you who are wondering. That's where I landed. I feel good about it. I don't know. It's a tough card, but I like it. I'm happy with my picks.
I mean, hey, there's like I said, as long as that's where you can try and get paid with your best opinions. You press up a ticket like that.
Looking at my tweets for sure.
Absolutely. But my pick 4 ticket, this is where I'm going. So I'm going 4-8 with 1-3-5-7-8.
That's a lot of horses.
With 2, 3, 4, 8, 10, 12, and that's $30 for 50 cents. Look, for me, the 9 was the only other one. Like I said, that's the horse I threw out. If I were to play a little bit ticket over the budget, I would add the 9 in the first leg, so I'd go 4, 8, 9. But for me, buyer speed figure wise, especially on the synthetic, those are the 2 horses that not tower over the field, but definitely can have the ability to put out that mid-80s buyer, which will be good enough to win that first race. So I'm just going to go 2 deep in that race. I'm going to go 4-8. Second race, who the hell knows? I'm going 5 deep in that leg.
Like I said, 4.
Nope, I'm including a bunch of, not including your 4, Charlie, but I do have a bunch of other horses. I have the 1 that you guys had, and then I have, I think I had 3, 5, 8. So I also have the 7 as well in that race, which is Bella Future for Laura Casares and Edgar Perez. And then I'm singling Kathleen O. And look, it's again, as I said, it comes down to either 2. I would say if you were to play my ticket, but you don't like Kathleen O, but you love Classy Edition, just switch them out. And that's the interchangeable part of the ticket. Whoever you like better, play him in that spot. Obviously, press up your own opinions. And again, in the last race, turf sprints, Howard and I absolutely love turf sprints. It's absolutely the greatest race in the entirety of the United States. Fuck that. It sucks. I hate it, especially in the last leg to end a sequence. I'm going 6 deep. I'm going 2, 3, 4, 8, 10, 12 to close out my ticket. And like I said, as long as I can get my single home, I'm not going to say it. I'm going to bang on my desk, which is wood, that hopefully I'll be home free, as I was 4 deep and lost. But guys, that's going to wrap up the show. I greatly appreciate everybody. And Charlie, you lost a fan. I have a new fan.
I'll be honest.
Cheers to you.
I would encourage you to add the 4 on his ticket. Maybe take on one of his other ones. Don't sleep. He's sleeping on my 4 horse. I wouldn't sleep on it. But no, I don't take it personal. It's all good.
Hey, no worries, Christine. I greatly appreciate it.
Right.
You did get your Super Bowl picks right. Now it's my turn to get a horse racing pick right, because you're definitely a sports. I will definitely say you're much better of a sports knowledge guy than I am. But guys, that's going to wrap up today's show. I greatly appreciate everybody coming in. We had a great great chat participation and great viewing throughout the entirety of the show. Just thank you so much for supporting us. It means so much to me, Patrick, and Charlie. As like I said, this has been a complete experiment from day one. Thanks so much to Howard and his team for letting us put together this show. But like I said, greatly appreciate all the support on all our shows. It's been absolutely tremendous and amazing that we were able to do this. So like I said, thank you again to everybody. And if you're inclined to it, follow our TikTok. I post a bunch of Patrick and Charlie rants on there that everyone loves. So I post a bunch of highlights on there. So if you would be inclined, it's just Bettin N Boozin, just like the show on TikTok. So if you are so inclined, please check us out there. But guys, again, that's going to wrap up episode number 7 of Bettin N Boozin on the HHH podcast. Wow, good English. But if you guys are interested, please tune in tomorrow to Howard's show that is covering the Louisiana Derby preview day. There's going to be a bunch of Derby points up for grabs with a bunch of really good horses. So if you're interested, please go check that out tomorrow. But everyone else, please have a great night. And like I said, good luck with all your picks on Saturday. Thanks, everybody. Good night. If I could pick the damn thing.